Ooh, I am stirred, 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 stirred. My God. I am so stirred. I don't know how many of y'all have read, actually took the time to really either get an audio Bible and listen to the audio Bible and listen to the story of Ruth. And I'm all about getting into the physical Bible, because even when I listen to the audio Bible, because it's digital, it can be manipulated. I still want to look at the physical Bible, even when I look at things and study from my digital Bible, whether it be my phone or my iPad. I still want to go back and look at the physical Bible, because things in the digital world can be manipulated. But here's the thing. Let me get back to it. Going through Ruth chapters 1 through 4, because there's only 4 chapters in Ruth. But the story of Ruth is so deep and so rich. And I think most people some kind of way miss it, because every person, everybody who I know talks about Ruth, talks about Boaz. But in Ruth, there's a transformation of identity. In Ruth, there is a posture of positioning and preparation. In Ruth, there's purpose. And the purpose was not just that Ruth got Boaz. The purpose was that Naomi got restored. And then Naomi received a son through Ruth, who married Boaz. And this son name was Obed, who begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David. But hold on first. Let me go back, because this ties into identity and purpose, which is the series that God gave me for January. Identity and purpose. And what better story or what better parable in the Bible than to study Ruth, who went through a transformation of identity. Where did she go through a transformation of identity? She lost her husband. But not only did she lose her husband, Naomi lost her husband and both her sons. Naomi lost her husband and both her sons. Sons take care of their mothers. So here it is. Ruth now represents a newness for Naomi. And most people miss the purpose in that was that Naomi was restored. How do we know this? Let's walk out Ruth chapter. It's only 4 chapters in Ruth. But this is so good to me that when the revelation came, I promise you, there were so many nuggets of revelation that came through studying Ruth. And I'm still stirred by going through the Bible and reading Ruth 1 through 4, because it shows identity. It shows purpose, posture, positioning, and then preparation, because she walked in preparation to get to Boaz. But Boaz then marries. Oh, Lord, I'm getting ahead of myself. I am so stirred by this story, because it really matches the thing that God placed inside my heart to till the ground for identity to be found. So here it is. Ruth is married to a son of Naomi, and the son dies. But not only does he die, his brother dies and his father dies. That leaves Naomi and Ruth uncovered, because back then they had to be covered by a man, right? So Naomi lost her husband and she lost both her sons. And she tells both her daughter-in-laws, go back to where you came from. I have nothing to give you. Even if I bear more sons, will you wait for my sons to come of age? Yeah, come on now. This woman old in age, and we're going to wait for another son to come up in age so I can marry this son that you got to birth out again. She was like, no, I don't have any more sons of my womb that I can give you. Will you wait for them? No, anybody can wait that long. Okay, so here. Naomi is now uncovered. Ruth is uncovered, and they have to travel back to go home, go back to her homeland. Here's where Ruth gave up her identity. Ruth tells Naomi, I'm not leaving you. The other daughter-in-law is like, hey, I'm gone. Bye. I can go find me another man that's going to cover me and take care of me and provide for me. But Ruth says, no, I'm staying with you. I'm taking on your God. I'm taking on your people. This is the identity switch. This is when the light comes on and change. There's a transformation for Ruth. Her identity now has changed. She has now given up her mother and her father, her spiritual or her religion, and her people. How do we know this? Oh, sorry. I got both going. I got my paper Bible and my digital Bible. So in chapter 2, Naomi had a kinsman of her husband, a mighty man of wealth. Oh, let me back up. They went back. They went until they came to Bethlehem, and it came to pass that when they would come to Bethlehem, and all the city was moved about them, they said, "Is this Naomi?" Remember now, she feels like she's been stripped of her identity because she's no longer covered by her husband, and her sons are no longer living to cover her either. So now, who's going to provide for Naomi? And so Naomi returned, and Ruth, the Moabitess, she was of a different culture, the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab, and they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of the barley harvest. This is the time where the people who have fields go out and harvest the fields to put the food in reserves. So, Jesus, let me go back. So hold on, let me go back because I want to get to this. She loses her husband and both her sons, and she said, "The Lord grant you thee may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband." Then she kissed them and lifted up her voice and wept, because she cried because she lost her son, and she lost both her sons and her husband, who were supposed to cover her. Men provided back then. And Naomi said, "Again, my daughters, why will ye go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb?" She's of age. Even if I have another son, you're of age. You're an older woman. By the time my son is old enough, would you really want to marry my sons? That they may be your husbands. And turn again, my daughters, and go your way. So Naomi is trying to send Ruth and her sister-in-law away, because she knows she can't bear any more sons for them to wait to get married. For them to wait as he grows up. You're getting older. She was like, I ain't got nothing for you. One sister leaves, and she said, "Would you tarry for them until they are grown to do that?" And she said, "For it grieved me much that for your sakes that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me." So now she feels like she's being punished by the Lord because she lost her husband and both her sons. Chapter 1, verse 14. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. So now Orpah, which was Ruth's sister-in-law and Naomi's daughter-in-law, kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. Orpah was like, "I'm gone, bye-bye." Ruth was like, "No, I'm staying with you." This is where Ruth now takes on a new identity. And she said, "Behold, thy sister-in-law is gone." Orpah done left. And she says, "Return thou after your sister-in-law." Naomi's still trying to send Ruth away. And Ruth said, "Entreat me not to leave you." I'm staying with you. I ain't going nowhere. "And return from following thee. For wherever you go, I will go. And where you stay, I'm going to stay. And your people shall be my people, and your God, my God." This is when there's an identity switch for Ruth. Ruth takes on now the God of Naomi. She takes on the people of Naomi, and she was, so she's now switching her identity. She's left her mother and her father in her native land, and she refused to go back to her native land to find a new husband. This is her identity switch. So Ruth takes on the identity of of Naomi's people. Now is where there's a period of preparation. I'm not leaving you, Naomi, because you don't have any sons to take care of you. So Naomi, whatever you say, I'm staying by your side. And she switches her identity to now take on the Lord, the God of the God of Naomi, the people of Naomi, the country of Naomi. You have had a complete switch in identity. Hey, Thani. Hey, Don. She's had a complete switch in identity. Naomi has now kept a daughter-in-law who is now going to get in position, be prepared, and be postured to make sure Naomi, her purpose is fulfilled in the earth. How do we know this? Because as she continues to stay with Naomi, she now gets in position out in the field to ensure that they both are covered by making sure they both have something to eat. To your people, you changed your culture, you changed and took on my God, so you have now switched identity. She switched her identity. She gets in position in the field. She's postured to work to ensure that her and Naomi are fed. So now she has identity. She's postured and positioned to ensure that they are covered and that they have food to eat. Because remember, there's no man covering them. There's no man providing for them at this point. Ruth has to go out and do the work as if she was a man covering her mother-in-law. So she switched her identity. She got postured and in position to ensure that they had what they need and they were covered. Because of Ruth's faithfulness in ensuring and working hard in the field, Boaz takes notice. So now she was postured and positioned in the right place right before the man who owns the fields. So now he starts having his people to leave food behind on purpose so that she can glean and pick up what she needs for her and Naomi. She was postured in position. Right place, right time, doing what she's supposed to do. And she worked hard. This is why he called her virtuous. She worked hard. She kept doing the work to ensure that she had food on the table. So if a man that don't work, don't eat. She made sure she got out there and she gleaned the fields. She worked to ensure they had food. And Boaz took notice and ensured there was more food left behind. So then now Naomi teaches Ruth, it's time for you to get in preparation. I need you to go take a bath. Clean yourself up. Naomi gives instructions that Ruth has to obey to further be postured and positioned to fulfill the purpose. Ruth, go clean yourself up. There's some things I need you to do. I need you to follow these steps and get at his feet. But only do it when nobody's looking. Cover yourself so nobody sees who you are. She followed the instructions and laid at his feet. Boaz then sees her. He tells her, the Lord is pleased with you. You have shown yourself to be faithful in serving Naomi when you didn't even have to. That showed you're working hard and you're doing what God, you're doing. All you need to do is ensure that Naomi is taken care of. And he was kin to Naomi's deceased husband. So he was next in line to receive Naomi and make sure Naomi was taken care of. But in the interim, Ruth was postured in position. She walked in preparation to ensure that purpose be fulfilled. How do we know this? Chapter 4. Is it chapter 4, chapter 3? Make sure I find it. Make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah, Lord have mercy. Is it verse 11? Woo. And now, my daughter, fear not. I will do to thee all that thou request. Because she laid at his feet and she covered up. She uncovered herself and she told him which it was. She gave the instructions that Naomi gave her to Boaz. And now it is true that I am thy kinsman. Howbeit that there is a kinsman nearer than I. Wait this night. Don't leave yet. Wait until the morning. And he made sure she had what she needed to take back with her so she could eat. And she lay at his feet until the morning. And she rose up before one could know that she was there. Because remember, nobody was supposed to know she was at Boaz's feet. But before that, Boaz had spoken to her. Oh, make sure I see this. Please forgive me. Okay, so Ruth was told, wash yourself, therefore, and anoint yourself. So she had to anoint herself and put on new clothing and get down on the floor. But do not make thyself known unto him until he was done eating and drinking. That way he would be tired enough to go to sleep and then find her at his feet later in the morning. Whew. So here, Ruth has changed her identity. She's gotten position. She's gotten posture, and she walked in preparation because she followed Naomi's instructions to clean herself up, to get dressed, and to lay at Boaz's feet. Boaz finds her at his feet. And when he awakes, she tells him, I am Ruth, the handmaiden, chapter 3, verse 9. The handmaiden, spread your skirt over me and cover me. So that is a sign of covering. He's taken on the ownership of covering her as a covering, as a male covering. And he said, blessed be the Lord, my daughter, for thou hast shown more kindness in the latter end. And he's talking about how she took care of Naomi in the latter end of Naomi's life. How thou hast shown more kindness in the latter end than the beginning. Inasmuch as thou hast followed the young men, whether poor or rich. She didn't run after no another man. She didn't run after another man. She worked diligently to ensure she had food for her and Naomi. Instead of chasing after a younger man so she can go get married, she worked hard. She stayed in position and was postured. That made the right keys. She stayed in position and was postured to make sure she had food for Naomi, for her mother-in-law and herself. And he watched her as she worked the field, so he knew that she was a hard worker. He knew she was taking care of Naomi in her older years. And he tells her, I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you requested. I will do to you all that you He's going to cover her and Naomi. And then he tells her, people don't know. People know that you are a virtuous woman because people have watched her work the fields. People have watched her make sure she provided for herself and Naomi. She could have been selfish, just provided for herself. She could have ran off a younger man and went and got married. But no, she stayed in position and she stayed postured and worked the fields to ensure she was caring for herself and Naomi. And I think I've said that a couple times. Let me move on. And now it is true that I am your kinsman. Wait, don't go nowhere tonight because I don't want nobody to see you. I need you to leave in the morning under the cloak of night or under the cloak of the morning sky. So nobody sees you when you leave. And then I will go petition for you. And he told her as she rose up, I'm sorry. There's something in my audio Bible that don't look like it's in here. But he called her a virtuous woman and he lets her know God sees you. And because of how faithful you are, God is going to give you recompense. So that's in the New Living Translation and the New King James Version. God is going to give you recompense for how hard you worked in somebody else's country for somebody else. You went outside of yourself and worked hard to take care of somebody else. So God is going to give you recompense for the work that you put in for somebody else. And you weren't concerned about you, because if you were concerned about you, you would have ran off and got married. So then he sits before the council. He takes on the ownership of the land that Naomi's husband left behind. He now is covering Naomi and Ruth. He marries Ruth. Well, see, this is when you see how purpose was fulfilled. Ruth was taking care of Naomi, but the purpose came out when Naomi was now restored the wealth of her husband. Naomi is now covered underneath a man, and Ruth marries this man. They have a child. A bloodline heir is now restored back to Naomi. So much so that the neighbors called the baby Naomi's baby and named him Obed. Ruth gave birth, but they gave the baby to Naomi. The neighbors named the baby Obed. Obed is the father of Jesse. Who is Jesse? Jesse is the father with the 7 sons. You know, the one with the shepherd boy that was out in the field that he discounted. Oh, you don't know who that is? Oh, that's David. Remember, he was anointed king as a little boy. Naomi is now the mother, by way of Ruth, of Obed, who's the father of Jesse, and Jesse is the father of David. Purpose had to be fulfilled. We miss it. Everybody want to see that Ruth got the man. Ruth got Boaz, but purpose had to be fulfilled. So you got identity is married to purpose. Her identity had to change for her to marry Boaz to bring purpose, for purpose to be fulfilled, that Obed be born so Jesse can be born to give us David. But not only was that the purpose, Naomi was restored in the process. The story starts out talking about Naomi losing her husband and her sons, losing her covering, the land, the livestock. Nothing can be passed to a woman. Naomi, in the process of Ruth 1-4, is restored. Ruth's identity is changed. She gets in position. She's postured to receive. She walks in preparation to get before the man, to get the purpose of marrying him, that purpose be fulfilled in the earth. The story of Ruth in the Bible. Most people say don't call it a story. Okay, the parable of Ruth in the Bible. One of the 66 books. There are many places where identity shows up in the Bible. Jacob's name is changed to Israel. He takes on a new identity because Jacob meant trickster. And he took on the name of Israel. He had an identity change. There are many places in the word. Jeremiah had to come into the knowledge of who he was, what he had possessed, and what he could do. There are many places in the Bible where identity it's birthed out. This was just me going through, as God has been tilling the ground and dealing with me on identity and purpose. And Ruth is one of those things where people always talk about Ruth and Boaz, but there was purpose in the marriage of Ruth and Boaz. Y'all be blessed.